everybody, and welcome to Real Horror. This is a show where we discuss the horror movie of the week. And this week we are discussing Fright Night 1985 and the remake in 2011. And I want to thank you all for being here, whether it's you're in the chat right now or checking out the stream later. I appreciate all of you. And I want to say hello to my wingman tonight, Vinny. How's it going tonight?
It's going all right. Been busy going through a lot of stuff, but I'm looking forward to talking about these excellent movies. And hold on, I got something up for you right here. Bam!
Oh, nice.
We have the OG. I know that was your favorite, and
yes,
we're gonna get into this, but I'm looking forward to talking about it. These movies were excellent. So much fun. I saw the remake first, and then I saw the original one. And we'll break them down. And again, I'll say right now, I was a big fan of both.
Nice.
So, excellent stuff.
Awesome. Well, I'm with you. I love the original, and I actually surprisingly do like the remake as well. Not the original is definitely my favorite, and we can get into that. But
well, it's good to hear. It's good to hear because you gave me so much shit the first. You're like, how did you not see the original?
Well,
you're never gonna like the remake. I'm like, what? I like the remake. No, if you watch the original, it's gonna be like, no, the remake doesn't exist. Oh, I watched it. I think they're both great.
I mostly give you crap, but yeah, I was surprised that you hadn't seen the original first, because that seems like sacrilege to me. But at any rate, let's say hello to the fine folks that are in the chat currently.
Absolutely.
And Toy Mafia, so good to see you. Thanks for being here. And the Beast, awesome to have you here. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Hello.
Bad Take Bojan. Good to see you. Let's see. Oh, Zombie Box Reviews. Hello. Nice to see you. Let's see. Oh, Immortal Coil. Thanks for stopping by. And DDVR. I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know what that says. I'm sorry, but thank you for being here.
Yeah, I don't speak it either. Yeah. I know some things, but not much.
Yeah, the Immortal Coil likes the original Fright Night art. Yeah, me too. The
oh yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, the art for the movie poster, that is so awesome.
It is it was like the clouds.
Yeah. And DeB says it's rare that the original and the remake are both well done. Yes, I agree. I agree.
It's because the creator or the writer was involved with both.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So that was interesting. Yeah, you don't normally see that. If it's a remake, usually someone else takes control completely. But he had major input, and I think he wrote the whole thing.
Yep. That's
stuff.
Yep, I agree. I think that's exactly why the remake, was good, because he provided the story for it. Even though it's different, it's still, it's his source material.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So DDDVR is saying nice movie. Yes, we agree. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right. So, do you want to get right into going through the movie, or do you want to talk about it first?
Whatever you'd like to do. It's been a minute since I saw the remake. I saw the original one just a couple of weeks ago. I knew we were going to cover it, and then something came up, and you took a little bit of a break. That was it. So the remake isn't as fresh in my mind. I was going to watch it again, but I did not have a chance to. I was trying to find where I put the Blu-ray.
All right. Well, I've got it all in my notes, so I'm sure you'll remember as we're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, let's get right into the review then of Fright Night 85. So, well, I'll start off with it's directed by Tom Holland. This was actually his directorial debut.
And it's not Spider-Man.
Yes, not it's a different Tom Holland. He also directed Child's Play, a movie called Thinner, which is a Stephen King story.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Yep, he directed Tales from the Crypt from 89 to 92. He directed and also starred in Langoliers. And he starred in The Stand in the 80s, Psycho 2, and he was in Hatchet 2 as Bob.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. That was a surprise. And this movie stars William Ragsdale as Charlie Brewster. He's the main character. Chris Sarandon as Jerry Dandridge, the vampire guy. Roddy McDowall as Peter Vincent. He is so awesome.
He was good.
Yeah. Amanda Bierce as Amy Peterson. That's Charlie's girlfriend. Dorothy Fielding as Judy Brewster. That's Charlie's mom. Stephen Joffrey as Evil Ed. He ends up kind of being like a frenemy to Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Christopher Lee as Count Dracula. That's like part of the show. You know how he's a
yeah.
So
wait a minute. They just took a clip from the Hammer movies, didn't they? It's like they reshot something.
Yeah, it's it's like it's featured. You know how Charlie is a horror movie film buff.
Mm-hmm.
When he's watching Fright Night, which is the series, how this movie got its name is he watches Peter Vincent, who is the host of the show called Fright Night. And it's kind of reminds me of how Tales of the Crypt was filmed. Like you had like the host, and then you like they showed like little short movies.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah. There was a couple of them like that. Wolfman Jack, Elvira, when they would like kind of do the hosting stuff, but then they had like the little segments in between. That was some cool stuff. Yeah, I like that they did that with that character, with the Peter Vincent character. And then on the remake, how they did it with David Tennant, they did it a little bit more like Chris Angel. Like it was somewhere in between.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's the vibe I got as well.
Yeah, and he did an amazing job, David Tennant. I was impressed. I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't recognize him at first. It's when he started taking off. I'm like, wait, I know who that guy is. And then he started taking off his beard and stuff. I was like, holy hell.
Yeah, I know. I'll get into that, but Mr. Pulp Noir is saying hello to everyone. I wanted to say hello. And Lion Ratton is also here. Nice to see you. Draven, thanks for stopping by. So sorry you can't make it tonight. He wanted to be here.
Yeah, it's right up his alley.
And yes, do as Coyle says. Thumb. I can't say that on air, can I? Thumb the crap on the Fright button, Trina fans. Thank you, Coyle.
Oh, that was good.
Oh, Keely Chow, nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
What's up, man?
Yeah. So yeah, that did remind me. He did remind me of Chris Angel, Mind Freak, and that was, we can get into that when we get into like the 2011 version. But I loved that, how I didn't know who the actors were in the remake other than Colin Farrell. And so I didn't know that was going to be David Tennant. And I was listening to the voice and I'm thinking, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I know that person. Who is that?
Yeah, that he's like in different stages of like taking off his mustache, his hair, and all that. And I'm like, oh, okay. That was wild.
Right. That was excellent.
Yeah, I loved that. Um, okay, so do you wanna go on with the review, or do you want me to head that up?
Yeah, you could start, and I'll piggyback off of that.
Okay. All right. So the 1985 Fright Night starts with Charlie and Amy. They're making out, and Fright Night, the television show, is on the TV in the room. And just as they're, getting ready to get heavy with it, Charlie sees a couple of guys outside his window, and he sees them carrying a coffin. So he gets distracted, and um, naturally, he's like is all in like totally encompassed by what he's seeing. So he's no longer
Hmm.
interested in being with his girlfriend anymore, which really makes her angry.
Yeah,
But
because it was the night that she was ready to give herself to him,
yeah,
and he
because
was like, yeah, he was after like they're dating for so long, and he's looking out the window. He's looking out the window, and she's like, I'm right here.
yeah, and it was like, and he was the one who was complaining, like, "Come on, we've been together for a year. When are we gonna?" And then
Hmm.
she's like, "Okay, fine." And then he's like, "Oh, actually, never mind. I just saw something."
Yeah.
So yeah, she was mad about it. Um, yeah. So and and so she ends up leaving, and he's like, well, his mother called them over as she was getting ready to leave, and she's his mom is funny. She's like, studies show that marriages fail if you don't argue before marriage and stuff like that. And it's like she's just so
Yeah.
like I don't even know. She's just so weird. But
Yeah, it's like almost like she knows what they're doing, and maybe they should have gone further.
I know it's so strange.
Yeah, that
Uh,
was a little weird. His mother interaction was very strange in that original one.
it was.
They fleshed out the character better in the remake regarding his mom, and I think the casting of Marcy Darcy from Married with Children was a little bit of a miss as well.
Well, yeah, maybe she did do a good job though.
I think she did better at the end.
Yeah,
But yeah, in the opening, it's I don't know. Yeah, she was a little annoying.
yeah. Yeah. I do see that.
Hmm.
So yeah, so she leaves, and his mom, says that, oh, you must have seen the new owners that moved into the house next door. And and then you also see that the TV in the living room, in the background, it's not really a feature, but if you're paying attention, you see it, that the news says that a body has been found.
Hmm.
And it's kind of cuts away from that quick to the next day, where Charlie's doing homework, and he hears a scream from a woman in the house next door. And then we see him and Amy at a diner, and she's mad, but um the news comes on while they're at the diner, and it says that another body has been found, mutilated, and Evil Ed was there, and he's like, both bodies had their heads chopped off, and he's like thinking it's funny.
Hmm.
He's so strange.
Yeah,
And I can see why he got the nickname Evil Ed.
yeah. That guy, he was freaky looking too. I remember from a couple of different movies in the '80s. I was like, "What the hell's wrong with this guy?"
Yeah, yeah, he was. So yeah, so that leads Charlie, he gets more suspicious of his neighbors. um and he starts you see him like looking around the house outside, and then the like his Dandridge is the vampire. Well, he has a live-in like carpenter friend, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And it startles Charlie, and he basically tells him to, like, get lost.
Hmm.
And Charlie's like, he's really scared, so he just takes off. And uh and and so later that night, he's in his room, and he's kind of like, he he's like sitting in his chair, like you can tell that he had been waiting for the night to happen so that he could see if anything went on over in his neighbor's house,
Yep.
because he's got his binoculars and all that stuff. And he sees Dandridge and a woman in the window, and he's like, he's a typical teenager. He thinks they're gonna, you know, get
Hmm.
it on, and but Dandridge looks right at him, and he gets freaked out, and then he sees Dandridge's fangs, and um and then like Dandridge slowly closes the blinds, and his nails, like, he looks really weird,
Hmm.
and it freaks Charlie out. Like, Charlie is like, totally, like, he's like, okay, now I know for sure that this guy is a vampire. um
Yeah, yeah, he was like toying with him. Yeah,
yeah,
and he grew out his. It wasn't just his nails; it was his whole fingers like were extending.
yeah, yeah, he definitely, yeah, it was like a
Mhm.
little mini transformation.
Yeah, which was
Yeah,
good, and that's the one thing I did kind of dig about the original one is that you didn't see him right away. It was like that manservant guy. Um, you saw him mostly in the beginning, and then you saw Dandridge. And again, it was like for faraway shots, which was great because then it was it the next day. Um, he shows up at the house, and
yes,
the mother had invited him because the kid was trying to tell his mom like, yeah, like don't let that neighbor come in, don't let Jerry come by or whatever, there's something wrong, and he's already there.
yeah, yeah. He tried. Well, first I want to say hello to Soul Assassins. Good to see you. Um,
What's
and yes, definitely smash that like button. I command it. I like that. Yeah, yeah. Charlie is so after he sees like Dandridge do that kind of like mini transformation. Well, he doesn't see the transformation. He just kind of sees like the fangs and the fingers, and he's
Mhm.
like, he's just absolutely convinced at that point he's a vampire. Later on, he sees them taking a like it looked like a body in a big trash bag out of the house, and he decides to tell the cops that about the two women going missing.
Mhm.
And and the he doesn't talk about a vampire at that point. He just says like he thinks that his neighbor is a killer. And so the detective is like, okay, we'll go check it out. And so the detective and Charlie go, and the detective is basically trying to find out what's going on. Charlie saw this stuff, and the helper guy there, the carpenter,
Mhm.
he's like, well, um you know, Dandridge is out right now, but it and like basically giving excuses of why Dandridge can't come out, and this is in the middle of the day. So Charlie's like, I bet there's a coffin in the basement, and basically he's like trying to say that that's most likely where Dandridge is right now. But then that when he says that, the cop is like, okay, all right, you're wasting my time. This is ridiculous. And so
Yeah, they made a complete joke out of it.
yeah,
Kid, are you for real? Like, because he made it sound like, yeah, he definitely saw something. There could be a body in there. And then when they start to bring up like the vampire thing. That manservant dude was like really poking fun out of it.
yep,
And then the cop was like, all right, I'm an idiot. I didn't. Like I should have done better research before I just came into your house. Like, and he's trying to like to apologize as he's leaving.
yeah. And he's mad at Charlie because Charlie initially, like I said, he never mentioned anything about vampires. He just said that, he thinks that his neighbor killed two women.
Hmm.
And two women had been killed, so of course the detective's going to check it out. But once they're there, Charlie's going on about a coffin in the basement and this and that, and that's when the cop's like, okay, never mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so after that, he decides to go, basically go to Evil Ed and ask, what should he do about a vampire living next door to him? And Evil Ed is like, well, you need a cross, you need a garlic, and you need holy water, and then he also says that a vampire can't get in the house unless he's invited in by the owner first. And so later that night, Charlie is he's preparing his room with like garlic and stuff. It looks funny.
Yeah.
And his mother ends up calling him down, and Dandridge is in the chair in the living room. So she had already invited him in. So that rule, like, now he's able to come and go no matter what. And he basically says
I thought that he did the garlic thing after the encounter in his room.
Let me
Am I
see.
wrong? I'm trying to remember. Because I thought that's when he freaked out the most, and then that's when he put everything in there. Because he was also making like this, he was sharpening the steaks as well. I don't think he did all the garlic until Dandridge showed up in his room.
Yeah, you might be right. Because I think you might be right, because in my notes I didn't write down anything about garlic. Mm-hmm. I just remembered that garlic being in his room. So yeah, you're right. I think you're right. That came a little bit after. Yeah, you're right about that.
Okay, yeah, because I know he started going more off the deep end. Once Dandridge he popped up in there, because like he basically was telling him like I could kill you at any time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was great. That was an awesome scene. Chris Sarandon, man, he did an incredible job as Dandridge.
Yeah, he was an awesome actor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he really did this role. Like, I can't imagine anyone else doing that role.
Yeah, especially at the time too, because I don't know, he had the look. It worked. You could believe that he could get those chicks, in a drop of a dime as well. But then he had that Dracula type quality to him. He had class, but then he could go into super like frightening mode at any time. It was awesome. Because when I was a kid, I remember one of the first things I saw him in, that stood out in my mind, was Princess Bride, and he was just like that douchey guy that she had to marry. The douchey prince. But to see him in this role, and how much fear he was putting in, into Charlie and all that, like that was excellent.
Yeah, I agree. He definitely had that presence. Like, I agree that like that that kind of commanding presence where he like he has that, he kind of like controls the scene at the moment.
Yeah, and any room he walks into, he's got that certain kind of mystique about him.
Yep. Yeah, and he's got like he at the time he was very good looking, and he had that kind of like that charm. And
yeah, it was good stuff. Yeah, because I like that they played up more in the remake with the mother and like Colin Farrell, like he was like really pouring it on more, or like they were already kind of enamored with him, which was good. Because in this one, it was kind of just like, oh yeah, he's the neighbor, and I invite him. Oh, he's a very nice guy. But the other one, it was more of like the sex appeal thing that they were kind of like they were hinting at, which made more sense too. Because even the girlfriend was like kind of checking him out.
Yeah.
Because I like that they did that, because later in the movie when they're at the nightclub, like basically you can see like he's got that power of persuasion that he puts over them.
See, now I think Dandridge pulled that off better than Colin Farrell.
Chris Sarandon did.
Yeah, Chris Rin, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah,
I I think so.
yeah.
I just think he had like more of that
It felt more supernatural, kind of a little more Bela Lugosi like.
yeah, like to me it was sexier.
Hmm.
Like I feel like I feel like they could have casted a different person for Jerry Dandridge in the 2011 remake.
Yeah, they could have went in a different direction, and I think maybe that's what the writer was trying to do, because the story was more of like the bad boy kind of
Mm, yeah,
hot guy thing that they were going in that angle, and this one was more of the classier, gentleman like, uh, you know, character. It was a slightly different take, but in the end, like they're both monsters, and what they did with them, like I thought that was excellent.
yeah,
And the thing that I did prefer with the Colin Farrell one was that there was no manservant; it was all him.
yeah, yeah. Like I could do without the manservant, but
Hmm.
the what ends up happening with the manservant is actually pretty cool. Um, so it actually it pays off, but yeah, I do feel like I agree with you. Like
Yeah,
it
it was
wasn't.
still odd, and when we get to it, I'll explain to you why I think it was odd what they did.
Yeah, yeah, it was odd. I do still appreciate it because it's like it just feels like 80s horror.
Oh
Um,
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
and it worked as well because you had visitors go to uh Dandridge's house during the day, and obviously Dandridge can't answer the door during the day,
Hmm.
so it made sense that he had like this live-in carpenter, so to speak. um
Yeah.
so it kind of did work. I do like that aspect of it. They didn't go that way with the 2011 movie.
Yeah.
They just cut that out completely.
Hmm.
Like they just
Yeah.
didn't even go to his house during the day, did
Yeah,
they?
because I like that, like he painted all of his windows black.
Yes,
Like, yeah,
yes,
there was a lot of cool shit that they did.
yeah,
And I like that a lot of the stuff that was happening was like in those kind of like empty houses and stuff. Um,
yeah,
yeah, there were some really cool scenes, but they did.
yeah. I do agree.
Hmm.
And we're definitely gonna get there. Yeah. So yeah, I would say kind of like a ghoul. Yeah,
Yeah, because it was zombie like. Because again, when we get to that part,
yeah.
because he gets shot a couple of times, and he gets up, and he's got like
Hmm.
super strength as well. Like there were some things that's like, okay, wait, is he a vampire? What is he exactly? And then kind of ultimately what happens to him. Well, we know he's not a vampire because he's in the daytime. But
Right.
yeah, it was interesting. It was never fully explained. I think that maybe again another reason why I wasn't crazy about it. It felt like that character wasn't fleshed out.
Yeah, I do agree with you there.
Hmm.
Yeah, like yeah, Soul Assassin. I think we're kind of all asking that question, like what exactly was he? I I go with ghoul. When I saw the movie, I was kind of like, it's kind of like, well, he's definitely not a vampire. He's definitely not a werewolf, and
Mm.
yeah, so yeah, it was kind of weird. Yeah, I would just go with ghoul. I don't know how else
Yeah.
to explain it, but yeah,
Oh,
but
let's jump to that part with when Dangerous he does come to Charlie, because like he witnesses him from across the way again. Wasn't he this time he was biting one of the girls?
when he okay, so well, later that night he actually goes. He actually is ends up in Charlie's house. So he goes into Charlie's house through his mother's bedroom, but he doesn't hurt the mother.
No.
So no,
Did he
he
did he bar the someone did something to the door because she couldn't
yeah,
get
he
out.
kind like when he shut the bedroom door, when he shut the mother's bedroom door behind him, he kind of like pulled it too much so that it was kind of like jammed.
Mm-hmm.
and so she couldn't get out.
It was something like that.
Yeah. And yeah, because at first Charlie thought he heard something in the house, and he's looking around. He didn't see anything, so he went to go back to bed. And at the same time, we see that Dandridge had made his way into the house through his mother's bedroom. And then when we see Charlie go back to his room because he thinks, okay, the house is clear, that's when we see Dandridge right behind him. And Charlie's like, oh shit, he's behind me, isn't he?
Yeah.
And then he like throws Charlie, and it becomes like a struggle.
Did
And
he call him first or after? Because he was trying to tell him like to stay away from me or whatever, and then
after.
that he okay, it was after. Okay, so he had this sort of tormenting him.
Yeah. So he threw Charlie across the room, and then like they're struggling, and then he's trying to push Charlie out the window, and Charlie like ends up grabbing a pencil and stabbing Dandridge in the hand with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually hurts Dandridge. He lets go of Charlie, and Dandridge like he turns around, and you can see like what he kind of like really looks like.
Yeah, more demon vampire, like he really, when he got stabbed in the hand, he started like changing and like screaming in pain type of thing. I think that's what woke up his mother too.
Yeah, like the struggle and the all that stuff. Yeah, his mother ended up waking up, and
because he grabbed Charlie and he threw him through the closet.
Yeah, that was the first thing he did, and then like there was like a struggle. Well, I mean, basically, he was trying to kill, or not kill, but really hurt Charlie, and all that made a lot of noise, so that woke his mother up.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after Charlie stabs Dandridge, and we see what Dandridge really looks like, which is like ugly and everything. His mother's like, what's going on? And then Dandridge leaves, like he disappears basically, and then he calls Charlie on the phone, and he's like, I'm gonna get you tomorrow night.
He's like, you didn't leave me alone. So now, he basically told him he's gonna end him the following night.
Yeah. And his mother is so clueless, because he ends up like he lets his mother out of the room, and he's like, "Oh, it's fine. It's nothing." And his mother's like, "Oh, okay." She's like,
she's a little too oblivious.
Yeah.
I forgot the other excuse that he gave her about what was going on.
Yeah, you know what?
And that her door was stuck like that.
I can't remember the excuse either. But yeah, it was something like not believable, but she believed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was either.
She was too much of an 80s mom. She partied a little too much in the 70s.
Yeah. Oh, he said he just had a nightmare. He's like, it's okay, Mom. I just had a nightmare. And she's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's, like all that noise is just a nightmare.
Yeah, that's all it was. Is breaking furniture and stuff. It was a nightmare.
Yeah. So, okay. So then, let's see. Yeah. And then, okay. So then after he calls, and he says he's getting them tomorrow night. And I assumed that the reason why he didn't just finish it that night was because we see him, like, when he calls Charlie, he's on the phone, but his, like, manservant is, like, mending his wounds, and his hand is bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that really hurt him, and he can't, like, maybe it drained him of some of his energy.
Yeah, he got extra pissed. Because
Yeah.
didn't he say too that he was gonna get everyone that he ever loved or cared about? Like he was basically laying it out that he's gonna take everyone out
Yeah.
around Charlie as well. And that's
Yep.
he starts to panic, and Charlie he has nowhere to do, where to go, and then he sees on the television the Fright Night thing, and he
Yep.
goes, Peter Vincent, he might be able to help her.
Yep. Yep. That's when yeah, exactly. He sees the TV's on and Peter Vincent is on. He's like, oh, that's a good idea. I'll go ask Peter Vincent for help. So he goes the next day to find Peter Vincent, and Peter Vincent was like getting off the set or whatever, and he had and he's like, Charlie's talking to Peter Vincent, and he's like, I have this. Well, first we find out that Peter Vincent has been like let go from the
Yeah,
studio because
because he's
the
got a
ratings
box full
are
of all
down.
of his stuff.
Yeah, yeah. He's like really upset. He's like, your generation doesn't believe in anything anymore, and he's like, the ratings are down and all that stuff. So,
Yeah,
but
because as he's going through the car, he's like yelling back at the studio. Because when Charlie goes, yeah, because I need your help, and I watch all your stuff, and he's like, well, apparently you didn't watch enough, or you didn't tell your friends to watch, because our ratings were horrible, and he's starting like he's kind of flipping out that he's been fired, and then
yeah,
he's only like partly hearing Charlie, and then like he kind of goes, oh, you're a fan type of thing, and like he's willing to sign something for him, and Charlie's trying to explain to him that no, I know you're actually into this stuff, that I know it's not just an act or whatever, and he's looking at him like he's got three heads, like,
mm-hmm,
kid, you're crazy,
yep,
and he goes from about to give him a signature to like get the hell away from me, okay, and right to the fan club, leave me alone.
yeah, yeah, and he's like he's trying to tell Peter Vincent, he's like, I believe, and there's a vampire living next to me, and I need your help and all that stuff, and Peter Vincent is like, well, he's he's basically is like, I lied, I don't really believe, and then he drives off.
Mm-hmm.
And real quick, I just want to highlight this from Angela Straven. He says he was like a Renfield type in Fright Night Part 2. She has a guy who eats bugs with her. Um, yeah, Fright
I,
Night.
wa- I wanted to see that. I did not have a chance to, though. I know
Uh,
Draven, he had sent me the link as well.
yeah, there's uh I found it on YouTube, the full movie Fright Night 2, where if anybody's interested, you can watch it because I can't find it anywhere else on streaming. Um, like I didn't know. I don't know where the heck to find Fright
I,
Night Part 2.
I believe it was on YouTube. I think that's the link that he had sent me.
Well, oh, to the movie, because he sent
Yeah.
me something about like the like the dark history behind Part 2.
Okay.
Which is very interesting. But yeah, there's the full movie on YouTube, and I can put the link in if people are interested.
Yeah, I think someone put it up.
Oh, look at that! Soul Assassin has it.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, because there was 1988.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one's up.
I put it in the private chat.
Yeah, and there's one called New Blood, which was
That's a remake of Part 2, I think.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I had watched the Part 2 a while ago, and I really wasn't a fan of it, but I'm gonna give it another try.
That was the 88 one?
Yeah.
Okay.
But sometimes I'll warm up to something if I watch it more than once.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, yeah. So back to okay, yeah. So Charlie is in his room, and he's got okay, this is where he's got like the candles and the all the stuff. He like decked out his room to protect him from Dandridge. Um, it was like that afternoon, like, before nighttime.
Hmm.
He was protecting his room and stuff because Dandridge said he was going to come kill him. That's when he got all the stuff, and Ed and Amy end up going to see Charlie, and that's when we see all that stuff, and he's even making a steak, and they convince him, like, they think he's basically crazy. um Thanks, Soul Assassin. He posted Fright Night's practical effects. You can watch it on YouTube. That's awesome. Yeah, so they think he's going crazy because nobody believes in vampires. And so they're like, okay, don't do anything until we try to talk to Peter Vincent. And he's basically like, well, I already talked to him, but he won't help. And they're like, well, let us try. So they go to talk, they go to try and convince Peter Vincent that, you know, basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to get him to, like, show that Dandridge isn't really a vampire because they all think he's just nuts. So Vincent comes up with a plan to, like, say, okay, I'll test him with, like, a cross, or and like something else, and then he was going to do holy water, and he actually got Dandridge on the phone, and he's like, listen, we know that your neighbor thinks you're a vampire, which we think is absolutely absurd. So why don't we take him over, and I'll prove to him that you're not a vampire. And he's like, I can, show you a cross. And then, like, we don't hear Dandridge, but we can infer by how the conversation goes on Vincent's end that he's saying no to stuff. But then, and then Vincent's like, I can also try holy water. And then he says, oh, don't worry, it won't be real holy water. It'll just be tap water. So that's when Dandridge agrees, like, okay, yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's funny because, like, none of that tipped Vincent off that, like, he wouldn't agree to, touching a cross or, anything like that. But when he said, oh, it'll be fake holy water, then he agreed to it.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, still that didn't, like, even put any doubt in Vincent's mind that, oh, maybe Charlie, is onto something.
Yeah. He still thought the kid was crazy, but he was trying to appease him.
Yeah.
And I like that too, because when Dangerous actually he drinks it and is like there satisfied, there was the mirror that he had that had fallen on the floor, and he went to pick it up, and he saw that there was no reflection.
Yep.
And
And
he was so freaked out. He started shaking, and he just put it in his pocket. But a piece of the mirror was on the floor, like it stayed behind. He didn't notice that a part of it broke off, and he put the thing in his pocket. And he wanted to get the hell out of there. And by the time they get out of the house, the Charlie and the rest of them were like, he's like, "You're right. You were right the whole time. He's gonna kill you all." He was so freaked out, and he just wanted to leave.
yep.
Which
Yeah,
is great.
like, yeah, Vincent ends up, like, getting confirmation that, okay, this guy really is a vampire, and instead of, like, being like, okay, I'm gonna help you kids, he just, like, he's like, I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That was great. And at the same time, Dangerous, he's talking to the manservant, and he walks over and he sees the glass on the floor, and he picked it up, and he knows what's going on. He knows that.
Yeah.
He knows that they found me out 100%. It's not just Charlie now, and he's like, "Oh, great! I'm gonna have to kill them all."
Yeah.
And,
Draven is saying that there's a similar scene in part 2 as well. I don't remember that scene. I am gonna have to watch part 2 again.
I'll talk about it afterwards. There was also something else that's really cool that you're probably gonna want to get.
Okay.
But yeah, so so they were gonna try to walk. They were gonna walk the girlfriend home.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Ed, Charlie, and the girlfriend, and they're all kind of going towards a certain part, and they say, "Oh, let's take a shortcut down this alley." And Ed wants to, and Charlie's like, "No, we're not doing that." And like, he's getting freaked out by it, and Ed's acting like a weirdo to begin with.
Yeah.
That kid was very strange in the movie,
Yeah.
but they do split, and Ed's by himself he decided to go down the alley, and he's like, he's being weird and trying to make himself laugh, and he starts to hear things and he sees stuff, and Dandridge actually, like, you see from his vantage point, so we're assuming he's a bat because the way that it's flying, like the camera's coming down. I thought that was cool. They use it in
Yeah.
a couple of video games too. They did it in the Legacy of Kain games.
Oh,
when
nice.
when he turns into a bunch of bats, like he moves almost like a grouping of bats, but sometimes you'll see like through his vantage point of like where he's going, and then when he lands, like, it is what it is. But they did it like I think it was like with the shadows that you see like Dandridge, like, materialize
Mm-hmm.
in the alleyway, and that was cool. I like that because it felt more like old school horror type stuff where you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to show everything, but then like again they have these great shots of him and his silhouette, and like and the shadow um that's like appeared in front of Ed, and Ed's freaking out. Um, because that's what he did. He's I got to go back for a second. Before Dandridge pops up, he started screaming, and the two of them ran over to him, and he was trying to make a joke out of it, like,
Yeah.
"See, there's nothing here, and you're in the alley with me now." And the two of them got pissed off, Charlie and the girlfriend, and that's when they split. And that's when
Yeah.
he comes to kind of torture or torment him. But when he does pop up, it's almost like he could see into his soul, and he knows how that
Mm-hmm.
kid is ostracized and he's by himself, and like you can see like he puts that power of persuasion onto Ed, and he's like, I can make you live forever and you'll have a family type thing, and like
Mm-hmm.
he puts his arm up like Dracula basically, like with the coat, to kind of pull him in and like and bite him, and then you hear that horrific screaming again, but this is more real, and both Charlie and the girlfriend are like, yeah, he's trying to mess with us again. Let's not even waste our time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like the boy who cried wolf.
Exactly. I was gonna say that because yeah, I was gonna say that, and I love that because he ends up turning into a wolf.
Yeah, that was cool.
So yeah, there's a little bit of like if you're paying attention and you get and like those sayings, the boy who cried wolf, and then he ends up turning into a wolf. Like, I just think that's awesome storytelling.
Yeah, and that's part of it too, because it's not just a vampiric gift. Like, I mean, we know all the different stories where
Hmm.
Dracula can turn into other things, and like
Yep.
I like that. I like that they use that element in there. Um,
Yep.
they did a good job.
Yeah, I agree.
And then
I love that.
yeah,
Yeah, because Peter Vincent says that he's fought vampires in various forms. I've fought them in their bat form, human form, and other forms. So he says, like, what we know from Dracula. What is it, 1931? That
I think it was 31.
I think it was 31. But the what I call the original Dracula.
Yep,
Um, that vampires can come in all kinds of different creatures, so
the
that's
31.
that's pretty good, like sticking to the lore. I like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, there was a lot of good elements that they did in there, and like I said, it's the stuff that we can kind of assume as well.
Hmm.
Like adding that type of stuff. Yeah, he's got that power over people. Because yeah, did they go to the nightclub? Was that right from there after he bites Ed?
That was a little bit after. Before that, they before that, Ed goes to see uh Vincent.
At his apartment.
Yeah, and Vincent ends up like holding up a cross to him.
Mm-hmm.
and it makes and kind of transform, but you can tell that he's not. That's when you can tell it's not. He doesn't look like a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he looks different, and the cross is there's a cross imprint in his forehead. Um,
Yeah.
and he's like, the master is going to be so mad at you and stuff like that. And he ends up running. He ends up leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And then a little bit after that, uh, the Amy and Charlie, they go to the nightclub, and Dandridge goes after them there.
But yeah, I thought he was. Yeah, he was. Didn't he follow them, and they went in there to kind of to lose him?
Yeah, yes, he was. Yes, so Dandridge was like going after them, and yeah, they ended up running into the nightclub to lose him. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. And then yeah, at the same time, I believe Ed was. That's when he went. He went to go visit Vincent, and
Yep,
yeah, because it's like he's like, all right, you're one of mine. Now go do my bidding. Go finish him off. Type of deal.
yep, yeah. He probably he probably figured like that. This is an easy enough job for you.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
While he goes after his main prey like that, and it was good too because they started to like he again he was pulling her in with that power of persuasion thing, and like she couldn't do anything about it, and they
mhm.
kind of got separated as well. And what did he do to him? Because he ended up showing that like he's a vampire in that group of people. Charlie did something to him, and then like he went ahead and like he was ready to bite, and I can't remember exactly. You know what I'm talking about?
Looking
Is
at
it?
my notes, so
Yeah, because there was a big scene that happened where everyone started running out of there, and it's because of Dandridge showed who he is.
but I don't have it written down what that was. But yeah, he did. He ends up he seduces Amy, and she lets him. Yeah, she's basically hypnotized by him,
Mm-hmm.
and Charlie confronts him and to let her go, but she um he ends up since she's under his control, she runs off with him. And then a bouncer gets it in between, she okay, so he actually does get Amy for a second,
Mm-hmm.
but
She kind of
like a
snaps out of it.
yeah, and it snaps her out of it, but then a bouncer gets involved because Dandridge ends up showing himself, and everybody's in a panic now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it was that made Dandridge show himself. I can't remember. But yeah, that does happen, and I can't remember what it
Did
was
he
that did
did
it.
he pull a cross on him or something? There was something that he reacted to, and then he was just like like screw it type of thing.
Yeah, I honestly cannot remember right now, and I didn't write it down.
Because we can like assume that basically like he's gonna take out the whole town. Like he's got no fear whatsoever and what's going on, and showing himself like that, which was
Yeah.
great because it really showed like again he is this super dangerous thing. He's not human on any level, and he's gonna take whatever he wants. And the whole point was to really screw with Charlie. So as everyone's kind of running out of there, they get separated, and I know at one point they're going down the stairs of the club, and Dangerous actually he grabs her, and he's carrying her off, and Charlie
Hmm.
can't get to her,
Yep.
and he's like almost like gloating in his face.
Yeah, because Charlie's he's gonna kill her, and but because she's under his control,
Mhm.
it looks consensual, and the bouncer's like, well, she looks like she's enjoying herself to me. So basically, the bouncer thinks that Charlie's the problem.
Right.
So they end up Dandridge and Amy end up he leaves with her and gets in the car, and as they're driving off, Ed runs out the club, and you see them driving off, and Ed is like laughing in the car at Charlie. Like
Hmm.
they're driving off, he's laughing at Charlie, and Charlie's like, oh crap, now what?
Yeah.
And then so right after that, Charlie goes to Vincent and
Hmm.
Peter Vincent's house, and Peter Vincent was like, basically like trying to, he thinks that like everybody has turned now, so he at first doesn't trust Charlie, but then Charlie
Yeah.
passes his test, so then they're talking and stuff, and he
Yeah. He
convinces
grabs the
him.
cross. He grabs the cross. He's like, "Yeah, it's me. I'm not bit."
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that was good. And so yeah, he ends up being able to convince Peter Vincent, to save Amy with him, and the next thing we see is Amy like kind of wakes up, but she's in Dandridge's house, and she's wearing this like white gown, um and she's like, how, what's going on, where is everybody, where am I? So you can tell that she has been hypnotized.
Hmm.
um and then like Dandridge comes over, and it's like he's controlling her again,
Hmm.
and then he bites her, uh and it kind of looks like, like she let him, but she's really just under his control. She really doesn't have a choice,
Yeah.
because you can tell when she snaps out of it, like at the club, she doesn't want that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so she's definitely not bitten willingly. um but at any rate, Charlie and Peter end up um making it to Dandridge's house, and they uh Charlie holds up a cross, and he gets knocked off the stairs by the manservant, and then he runs off. Vincent runs off to get Charlie's mother. But it's funny because when he gets there, he like goes into the mother's bedroom, and Ed is in her bed. Ed the werewolf is in the bed.
Yeah. Yeah. That was funny.
I love that. Yeah,
Hmm.
that was hilarious. So yeah, so Ed ends up, he actually turns into a wolf, and goes to attack Vincent, and then Vincent impales him, and then that was actually quite the scene, because when he does that, Vincent, I mean, I'm sorry, Ed slowly transforms back into human form,
Hmm.
and it's like agonizing, and he's trying to like pull at the stake, and is like, it's just so, like, that was really well done.
Yeah.
They
It
used
was. It
they
was
must
pretty horrific. Yeah. It
Yeah.
definitely had the flavor of American Werewolf in London type of
Hey
thing.
Frankie.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It did have that feel. That was a well done scene. They must have used a ton of practical effects, like tons of makeup, to do that whole
Oh yeah.
sequence. Like,
Yeah.
oh
The
man.
trick of like cutting out part of the floor and putting the body underneath, and then you know
Yeah.
like all that cool shit. But yeah, I liked it. They did a good job. And you felt bad for that kid too.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely did. Yeah, it was kind of a sad scene, to be
Hmm.
honest. So yeah, and he ends up, so I thought it was kind of odd that Peter Vincent ends up taking the wooden table leg out of Ed's body, and then like uh, as he does that, it's just Ed, like in human form,
Yeah.
and I don't know why he took the leg out of him. Why did he do that?
To me, it felt like because like he already died, and he wanted to, um, I don't know, put him at peace or something. But I, I don't know. I can only assume. But it's
Hmm.
interesting too because as they took it out, yeah, that he went from that kind of wolf into human form was interesting.
Yeah,
I think they did it just because they wanted to show that they wanted to show okay, if he's dead or he's dying, he's gonna be back to a human form.
yeah,
It's not gonna be this beast creature thing.
yeah,
But yeah, and then what? Then doesn't he run back over
yep,
to Dandridge to the house
yep, yep.
down Charlie?
Yep, he goes to rescue Charlie, and he says that he thinks that they can save Amy if they kill Dandridge before dawn, like probably like before she feeds or whatever, something like that.
Yeah, because
Uh,
she's like in the process of
mhm.
changing.
Yeah, yeah. She hasn't completely transformed at that
Hmm.
point.
Yeah, because she's like out cold.
Yeah, and so they're ended up so they're kind of like they're making the way up the stairs, and that they're confronted by the helper
Hmm.
again, and he ends up Vincent ends up shooting the manservant guy, and they shoot him like a bunch of times. Well, they shot him, he falls down the stairs, and he doesn't die, he gets back up,
Hmm.
and they have to shoot him like a few times, and then the only thing that kills him is when like they finally stake him. He isn't that where he uses the wooden leg? He stakes him with
I think
that.
so. Yeah, because it was
Yeah,
weird. Like again, like what is this guy exactly? All right, so the
yeah,
bullets didn't take him out. He's not a vampire, but when they do stake him, he starts to like melt.
yeah,
He's like
yeah.
fizzing and bubbling and green shit. Like, but they're like, all right, he's dead. They turn around and like you see the skeleton's kind of getting up as well. Like it's still moving, and then it completely kind of goes down. But
Yeah, like this green goo is coming out of him, and then also sand. Um,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that was weird. And Soul Assassin, I agree with you. I did not like Ed either, and we're talking pre vampire Ed,
yeah,
the freaky little guy.
yeah. Yeah, like Ed became a cool character when he turned into a werewolf, and then that was only a very short like role.
Yeah, he kept doing that over the top laughing stuff. It was weird. He's
Oh,
just
yeah, that
sorry,
laugh. That oh, man, that laugh was.
yeah.
Soul Assassin said he heard some people say that the manservant guy was a golem. That definitely could be.
Well,
Yeah,
all
who
right.
the heck?
I'm gonna jump to it before we finish it then. Because there is something that's really cool, and I think you're gonna run out and get it the second that this is done. Um, there's actually something that Tom Holland did. He did a full new novel, a Fright Night. It's called Fright Night Origins, and
Okay.
Chris Sarandon he does the audio for it. He
Oh,
does he
nice.
does the audio book, yeah, and he's great. I forgot what novels I heard from him, but he does like all these awesome voices and these characters. If you ever want to get a book on audio and you see Chris Sarandon's name on it, just get it. You're gonna love it.
All
But
right.
yeah, so they said the majority of the book, if you get it on audio, is him. And there's some stuff that they have in there that you see it's like centuries prior. And I guess when he makes this pact or this deal or bargain with some kind of demon, we get more of his backstory, and we get to see a part through. They said that manservant Billy's eyes. So
Okay.
if we're seeing through that, then that means they're going to give us some of what exactly happened to him or what he is,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty interesting because they flesh out more of the characters all around. So it's not like a direct, novelization of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something that's again it has more about these characters, and that's awesome. That's an awesome thing.
That's awesome. I okay. So it's called Fright Night Origins.
Yeah, it's
All
on
right.
Amazon. We got it on there too.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you
Hmm.
for that.
Yeah. So I looked it up real quick, and I'm like, oh shit, they did do something because I saw the actor that Chris Sarandon. He said that apparently this came out in December. He goes,
Okay.
Everyone go out and get this now. Um,
Okay, so this is a new book?
yeah, it's
Oh, all right.
what is it, 6 months, 6 7 months.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, it's new. All right,
There you
awesome.
go.
Awesome.
Good
Hey,
stuff right
Blue
there.
Samurai.
What's up, man?
Yeah, you don't worry about being late. I'm just happy to see you.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah, we've been having a good time talking about this so far, but we got to the point where the manservant he's been taken out. We're assuming he's some kind of ghoul or golem,
Mm-hmm.
and as that's happening, Dandridge he pops up at the top of the stairs and he's furious. He sees that his dude is dead, and he's ready to attack them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, didn't he get like he started doing like he using his superpowers and shit and dodging, you know. Uh, did they have a crossbow too that they shot on him, or was it just the gun?
Oh man.
I can't remember because something does
I
break that
remember
glass that
now.
was behind them, and then
Yeah.
he scurries out. He goes outside, and then they hear the girlfriend is kind of like she's making noises, and they run over to check on her, and he's like clinging on the outside of the building, and he's like kind of like a rat, you know. He's moving quickly all around outside, um, and he knows like his power over her is growing, and she like he's basically going to use her to attack them.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually like he commands her
Mhm.
to wake up and kill Charlie and Vincent
Yeah,
and and, and yeah, so Vincent shows the cross to Dandridge and it actually works this time because earlier the cross didn't work because Dandridge was like, well, you have to have faith for it to work.
Mhm.
And it was interesting that it actually worked this time because like they were kind
yeah.
of like not believing in stuff and now
Which was good. I like that too because it also
yeah.
shows that he can look into their souls. Because
Yeah.
yeah, it was almost like a taunting thing to the Vincent character, and yeah, it was like yeah, it only works if you believe in it. And at that point, he already believed in it because he took out the kid in the other house. He knows that this guy's real. He knows this stuff is real. So if that's
Hmm.
real, that means God has to be real.
Yep. Yeah, I really like that. It's like they didn't go into all of the explanation, but you um like if you have any kind of intellect, you know what's going on. I love that they wrote that into the movie.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Oh, okay, Soul Assassin says there's a channel called Coggin Lawlins who talks about vampires and monsters from films. He did one about the Fright Night curse. Okay.
Hmm.
Thank you for posting that. That's
That is
interesting.
cool. That is interesting.
Yeah, and
Nice.
then okay, so Soul Assassin posted Fright Night 2 and its dark history. Yes, thank you for posting that. Draven had sent that to me. I think it was last week, and I sent that to Vinny. Yeah, that I watched that. That's a
Nice.
very interesting um, little bit of information there. That oh yeah,
Yeah,
if
I like to check that out.
yeah, you definitely it's just a quick like 12-minute video or something like that, but it tells like the whole the production like behind Fright Night 2 and like it has some yeah, it really does have some dark history behind it. Um and you'll yeah, I don't want to spoil it because once you get there, you'll be like, no way, really. So yeah, but if you're interested in like the backstory behind movies and stuff, I would recommend that Fright Night 2 and its dark history. It's it's an interesting quick little video. Okay, so yeah, he tells her to kill. Um, oh yeah, the cross. Yep, and it works this time. And then Vincent. Okay, yeah, he turns into a bat. Oh, the clock strikes. Okay, I'm reading my. I'm trying to look through my notes. Okay, so the
Mhm.
clock ends up striking. It's like dawn, or like about to be dawn, or something like that. And
Yeah,
then
he knows he's got to get in his coffin.
yeah, and the the window had gotten broken, and then the light is coming through, and like it like
Starting
the
to
light
burn him.
touched him.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it surged him, and he immediately transforms into a bat and kind of flies after Vincent, and then he just disappears. And they think like, okay, let's go in the basement. That he must be in his coffin now. So
Hmm.
they go down there looking for him, and then they see. Then we also see Amy. Amy confronts Charlie in the basement, and she's trying to kill him because she's under command now from Dandridge.
Yeah.
And then Vincent stakes Dandridge, but Dandridge pulls the stake out and throws it, and he actually breaks one of the windows in the basement.
Hmm.
And that lets light in, so that kind of gives Charlie like the idea. Oh, yeah, let's break the windows and let the light in.
Yeah.
So that's now they're that's what they're trying to do. And and then so they end up getting like they break a bunch of windows, and Dandridge gets hit by a direct like ray of light, and he finally burns, and that's what takes him out.
Hmm.
And that when Dandridge is taken out, that's when Amy kind of goes back to normal, and she's out of her like trance. And then so they're gonna live happily ever after, is what we are to assume.
Yeah,
um
they're about to finally get it on. It looks like, uh, and across the way, the camera starts to pan in to the window of Dandridge's house, and it's completely blacked out. The as we're zooming in, like you can't see inside the house, and then you start to hear that sick little laugh of Ed. That's
Yep.
he's still alive, which is
Yep.
interesting that he's still alive after being stabbed, uh, well, staked basically with that wooden leg. I know Vincent had taken it out of him. Maybe he didn't die all the way. So, but
Mm.
at the same time, if Dandridge is dead, shouldn't he have changed as well? Or
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, it didn't make sense to me
hmm
how it didn't cure Ed.
yeah, it was a little strange how they did that. Because
Yeah.
we know that in the remake, when he's taken out, anyone else was kind of afflicted by it, they get freed.
Yep.
That's something that they established more, which I thought was kind of. It's better that they did that. We actually have something more definitive with the lore that he kind of. Again, he was piggybacking off of the other stuff, but then he kind of put his own stuff in there too, which was cool. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, it is interesting. Oh, Soul Assassin made a good point. Was it me?
Or maybe Ed was a vampire all along. Would explain how he was so ugly.
He was some kind of creature of the night.
Yeah, really. He was
Yeah,
evil Ed.
yeah. I popped the link in there for the people if anybody wants to get the audio book. Um,
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm gonna check this out.
yeah,
Yeah, Fright
good
Night
stuff.
Origins
Yeah,
audiobook.
just make sure when you go to Amazon, it has like the three options: Kindle, audiobook, hardcover. You just click on the proper one. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I would love to hear him reading that. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out at some point. I can't right now, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I would love to because I thought like the character was so good. He did an excellent job, and that he's kind of like reprising the role, but like through audio is awesome. That's really cool.
That's a good idea, Soul Assassin. If
Yeah,
yeah, maybe I'll listen to the audiobook and we'll do a review on the book. That would be cool.
hell yeah.
If yeah, Vinny, we'll have to talk about that and see if that's something you're interested in doing, or if you have the
That,
time.
that would be awesome. Yeah, I got to see what I could do. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because Vinny's a busy man right now.
yeah, yeah. The next 2 months, well, month and a half is gonna be crazy. Oh shit.
So yeah, so that concludes Fright Night 1985.
Hmm.
And I just love this movie beginning to end. Like, I even though like there's a little bit of like, how did Ed not get cured, and there's and stuff, like there's a little bit of questions. That kind of adds to the intrigue because it's not like a glaring pothole or sorry, plot hole, or
No,
anything like that.
but yeah, it's just something like all right. I felt like things weren't completely explained to us, like the
Hmm.
manservant thing and the thing with Ed and
Yeah.
his and the mom being oblivious and then kind of like forgotten towards the end. Um, it's the one thing I do appreciate with the remake is that they fleshed out like the mother character a little bit more. That she's not just a throwaway. Um, they got rid of the manservant and
Hmm.
yeah, it's just the overall kind of aesthetic of the movie is it's again it's just as fun. They did a lot of great stuff, but like even the opening is different.
Yeah.
And you see Dandridge right away. It's not like they're kind of like leaving him for later, because in
Hmm.
the original they kind of built up to it until you start to see him, which was good. And then because when he first makes his appearance, we actually hear him because we only see him at first, like from a distance and that type of stuff. And it's only when he's in the house is when we first get to hear him and what he has to say and how he is and the kind of charm that he's putting on, um,
Yep.
which is cool. But yeah, right in the start of the other one, again they kind of focus more on the Ed character, who's um, he's more invested into this whole movie monster stuff,
Yeah,
and
so they did a little bit of a character switcheroo
a
in the
little bit.
remake. Yeah. Yeah, in the remake, Ed is kind of like the not just a horror junkie, but he's also like just basically like pop culture, well, I'd say geek culture stuff in general. Uh
Yeah, because you could tell like the Charlie character, he was with them on it, but he's kind of growing out of it.
yeah. Hey Adam, Sean Shahan, how you doing? Thanks for
What's up?
stopping by.
Hell yeah, man! Great seeing you. But yeah, what we were saying though, that whole kind of aspect was interesting, of making him more invested in it because he's doing the research into these missing people and he's
Hmm.
narrowing it down. Like he's kind of narrowing it down that whatever's happening is it's in our area. It's there gruesome murders or people who are missing. Like he knows something's up, and he's
Yeah.
trying to get like Charlie on board with that.
Yeah, like yeah, because they're the people that go missing are a couple of students from their school. And so well, it kind of like directly follows the opening scene where we see like this, you know, it's it's in a house, like the TV's on in a house, and we see the ad for the Hard Rock Cafe's Fright Night.
Yeah.
I just love that commercial. Welcome to Fright Night for
Hmm.
real, because it's like a I like how they put for real because it's a in person show. It's not a television show.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like a uh, yeah. It's a yeah. Like you said, Chris Angel type thing. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. That was
That
it was pretty cool.
that
Again, interesting take on it, and I didn't know if I was really gonna like it. And I'm like, oh my god, dude, this guy's doing such an awesome job. And then as he's kind of like walking around and he's kind of like yelling at people and being demanding, he's taking off parts of his costume and stuff, and it's like, oh, it's David Tennant, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good, because
Yeah.
I don't think there's a role that guy's done where he was bad in it. He's always a great actor.
Oh, David Tennant just absolutely kills every role. Like he is
Yep,
amazing. He
yep,
he can play anything.
so freaking good. And
I,
yeah,
I love him.
rest in peace, Anton
Yeah.
Yelchin. Holy crap, man, that guy was such a good actor. He was actually someone that they were eyeing for the Spider-Man role. Ironically,
Oh
Tom
wow.
Holland wouldn't have been Spider-Man. It looked like it would have been him.
I could see that. I mean,
Hmm.
similar looking.
Yeah, and I think this guy would have done a better job, to be quite honest. There's something about Tom Holland. He's, I don't know, extra short. There's something that kind of, he's still good. He was enjoyable in those movies, but I think this guy would have done a better job.
He's, you know what? He's, in my opinion, it's a little off topic, but Tom Holland to me is a good young Peter Parker.
Yeah, I
But that's,
agree with you on that. Yeah.
yeah, just like for like a young kid.
Hmm.
But yeah, so as I was saying, like the opening scene, yeah, we see that ad for that Fright Night for real, and I love that. I just think that's so fun. Um,
It
and
was.
and yeah, like I had no idea who the guy was. I just thought it was some like random goth looking guy doing it, and then later we find out that it's David Tennant, and I was like, no way! I love
Right.
this. Um, but yeah, that opening scene, oh man, that was brutal because we see like there's this, you know, kid, you know, it looks like a teenager, and he's like tossed out into the hall um out of this room, and
Hmm.
then he runs upstairs and he goes to hide in this bedroom upstairs, but we see two dead bodies who, you know, look to be his parents, and then they're mutilated. And he hides under the bed, and he's like, he reaches in the mattress for the gun to protect himself, and he can't seem to load the gun, which was aggravating me because it's like, come on, dude, it's a revolver, it's not that hard.
Right.
um, so yeah, he's trying to load the revolver, and then we see like the dad's body, who, you know, like he's under the bed, and the dad's body is like right next to him, on like beside him but not under the bed, like next to the bed. And then we
Yep.
see the body like slide, and then all of a sudden the bed like lifts up, and uh we don't really see who it is, but we see that it's like the shape of a guy, and then it just cuts out, and like that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think the horror elements were really, really well done.
yeah, it
And
was
he got way more
intense.
gory. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this, yeah, definitely the remake had more blood, like
Hmm.
way more. Um yeah, the Superfan Adam Tryon says I didn't need kid Peter Parker though, for real. Like we
Yeah.
really didn't.
No, we didn't. Yeah, and now he's supposed to be a man, going into the next movie. Like the way that they did it was it was well done. But at this
Yeah,
point, you better show that he's more of a grown up character if you're still going to continue this story.
I know. He just has that baby look though.
I know.
But
I didn't think his height really gets to him as well.
yeah.
I know
Yeah.
it's a side note, but
Yeah. I know, like we can't stop. Yeah, but like, okay, one more thing about kid Peter Parker is Tom Holland. He just has that like young kid look. Like even his height doesn't help him, but he also has like a baby face.
hmm
You know,
yeah,
it's
because
like,
even when he did Uncharted and he got super jacked, it's like you still look weird. You look like a kid with muscles now.
it's strange.
Which
He just
again, that movie was still fun for what it was. I know it wasn't exactly the games, but it was still fun, and he still did a good job. But yeah, it's like, what the hell?
yeah, it's like I don't think he's gonna get rid of that baby face.
No, it's that happens to those little guys.
Oh man. So
He's
yeah,
gonna be
so
walking around with Frankenstein shoes on for the rest of his life to make himself taller.
for real, like I used to do that because I'm so short. I used to wear tall like platform shoes. I can't do that anymore though because I'm old.
That's funny. You gotta have to get you gotta get up on your husband's shoulders.
Okay,
Oh,
back to the review. So
he's been walking around the theme parks.
you can I know for real, like there's some rides where it's like, am I really gonna like am I am I tall enough for this?
Oh shit.
I remember. Okay, so whatever. We'll just keep going with this. I remember when they started the booster seat laws, and I think it was like under 4 something, you had to use a booster seat, and I was like,
Uh-oh.
oh,
You were sweating.
yes, I was like, that doesn't apply to adults, does it?
You're under 5 foot?
No, I'm actually 5'1".
Wow.
You're not taking that one away from me either.
No, I'm not. Oh, that's funny. Holy shit! But yeah, hey, you're 1 inch taller than Tom Holland. Anyway, going back, going back to this film. Yeah, you were saying. All right, so after that horrific scene, and basically like he slaughtered this kid, and this whole family basically. What
Yeah.
happened from that point?
So then they just kind of cut. They did like a cut scene, and then we see Charlie walking his bike home, and his mom is outside, and she's complaining about the neighbor's dumpster, and Charlie, is like, you gotta like give that up, mom. Like apparently she, complains about that a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so that
But wait,
okay.
we didn't see Colin Farrell, right? Wasn't it just like shadows and stuff? Or
We didn't see until we don't see Tom Holland. Oh god, now that's in my head. Yeah, we don't see
Colin
Colin
Farrell?
Farrell
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. First time we see him is he's the neighbor who's on his lawn. Um, what was he doing? He wasn't gardening. He was doing something, but
Yeah.
because he was doing like repairs and stuff to his house, and he was bringing stuff in. I think he had just moved in or something.
That was later that day because
Mhm.
later the next day I should say, because the next day or was it the same day? Now I can't.
Well, we first see Charlie. We first see him like going to his house or whatever. Like that's when we see Colin Farrell. He's the neighbor on who's working on his house or whatever. He's on his lawn because Charlie's talking to his mom and his girlfriend
Yeah.
at the time, and
Yeah.
then like because Colin Farrell, he introduces himself right away to them.
Yeah. Yeah. That okay. So yeah, after school one day, it's like shortly after the movie begins. Also his mom says that Ed has been calling him, and Charlie's like, oh, okay, and she's like, you really should just tell him if you don't want to talk to him, and then Charlie's like, well, that would kind of defeat the purpose of not talking to him. So in this movie, they don't talk, like he wants nothing to do with Ed at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then Charlie ends up getting picked up by Amy and her friends for school.
Mm-hmm.
And then at school, Ed is able to get Charlie away from, like, because Charlie's like a popular kid at school now in this movie. And Ed is able to get like Charlie aside and says that, he's concerned about the fact that Adam hasn't been at school. And now I'm assuming that was that kid in the very first opening scene.
Okay.
Because they end up going to his house later. So that must have been Adam, their schoolmate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Ed gets extra freaked out,
Yeah.
and he's trying real hard to convince Charlie too about what's going on, and
Yeah.
it's almost like instant what happens to him because uh he's being followed right away uh from Colin Farrell because
Yeah.
Ed starts to run and he's going through neighbors' yards and stuff. He knows that he's like right on his tail, and he gets to a backyard or something or um into one of those houses that's it's basically it's empty. They're either doing renovations or something, or kind of the whole area. That's when you start to learn more too that he's been taking out families all over the place, kind of
Mm-hmm.
in this kind of this place in California, whatever it was, which I thought was cool too. He's kind of like systematically taking them all out. And yeah, Ed runs into the house. I don't know if I forgot. Did he use the doggy door or something, or did he break in?
Yeah. They get in. They get in through.
Well, regardless, he got into the house and he was going through it, and he knows he was kind of getting being followed, and he thought he got away. He went out the window of like the bathroom or something, falls into the pool, and then
Okay.
at the bottom there, you see Colin Farrell. He's so fast that he's sitting like on a chair on the patio out there, and he's just kind of like looking at him, and he starts to kind of torment him the same way, like from the original, of like, okay, so you're on to me, yeah, you know what I am, and like that type of deal, and you know, your friend Adam was on to me too, and you know, I took out his whole family, and you know, he's basically told me like he's gonna kill him as well.
Yep.
But we find out he does a little bit more. Not Kevin Spacey or Tom Hanks more, but he he makes him just like him basically. But we find out
um.
later because at this point we just assume that he kills Ed.
Okay. All right. So before that, when they're checking out Adam's house to like try and find clues and stuff, Ed and Charlie are talking, and um, Ed is saying like, your neighbor is a vampire, right? And Charlie's like, okay, whatever, dude. I don't believe in
Mm-hmm.
that stuff anymore. And Ed is actually carrying a cross and a stake with him,
Mm-hmm.
um, because he is expecting to find something in that house, in Adam's house.
Right.
Uh, but he warns Charlie that uh, Jerry, he's called Jerry in this movie, Jerry Dandridge, um, that he can't get in without an invitation.
Mm-hmm.
But they're actually, they're arguing because you can tell that Charlie just does not want anything to do with Ed anymore, and he's actually a jerk to Ed. He ends up like pushing Ed down, and it because Ed was like, we used to be tight, and like talking about all the stuff they used to do together. Some of it was kind of disgusting and weird, but at any rate,
Mm-hmm.
um, he says he
They're basically playing Star Wars in the backyard.
pretty much.
Yeah, so she's right, disgusting and weird.
um, and he says Amy is a skank, and then that's when he like pushes Ed down, and he says, "My life got better when I stopped hanging out with you." And then Ed's walking home that night, and that's when he he runs off and he gets confronted by Jerry, and he goes into a house that is like abandoned, and he thinks he's safe because you have to be invited, but
Mm-hmm.
but we see Jerry just kind of like waltz right in, and Jerry's like, it's an abandoned house, I don't need to be invited in.
Yeah, which was
And
good.
yeah. And so then like that's yeah. That he corners Ed in the pool, and then Jerry. Yeah, Jerry's telling him like, you know, you want this. You're an outsider, and basically, it's kind of like a parallel to how Dandridge, uh, turned Ed in the original Fright Night, where he was like, "You're an outsider. You can have a family and stuff like that." It's very similar, and he ends up like, well, what we see is Jerry takes him underwater, and we assume that he's, turning him.
Yeah. Or just
Um,
killing him.
yeah, and then the next day, the teacher's doing the roll call, and Ed doesn't answer. Ed's missing.
Hmm.
So Charlie goes to Ed's house, and like his parents are thrilled to see him because they used to be, you know, childhood friends. And and he goes up in Ed's room, and he finds like stuff on his computer about, like, just like the weird stuff about like vampires and all this stuff like that, and then he also sees like stuff from their childhood when they were friends, like old videos and stuff. So he's kind of like changing his um like attitude towards Ed, and I think like at that point he really wants to find out like what's going on.
Hmm.
And so later that night, Jerry goes to Charlie's house and asks, can you get me some beer? I have someone coming over, but for beer, but I didn't get any beer. And like this is the second time now that he's trying to get invited into Charlie's house.
Yeah, and
And
Charlie's he's feeling that it's very bizarre.
yeah,
He's noticing something's up.
yeah, and kudos to the mom in this movie, because the first time he tried to get invited, and he was like, sorry, I haven't invited anybody over. My place is still a mess. And he's like, I'd love to like have a drink or dinner or whatever sometime. And she knew what he was doing, but she didn't take the bait. And Amy was there, and she was like, you totally shot him down. And the mom was like, I made mistakes before. I'm not doing that again. So the mom in the remake is a lot smarter.
Yeah.
Um, and Charlie, at this point knows like not to invite him in. So he's like, okay, yeah, I'll get you the beer. So he leaves the door open but doesn't invite Jerry in. And he, you know, as he's putting like a six-pack together, he breaks one of the bottles, and Jerry's like, "Oh, do you want me to help you with that?" And Charlie's like, "No," and he's like freaked out. He's like, "I'll just clean it up. I got it."
Yeah.
And like Jerry at that point knows that Charlie knows, so nothing is a secret anymore. And so he gives them the beer, and then uh, we see later that Charlie and Amy are in Charlie's bedroom, and she wants to get together with him. And he sees, it's a lot like the original movie. He sees the woman and Jerry outside, and he's worried about her because he knows who it is. It's like
Hmm.
this local woman named Doris, and she's apparently a stripper. And he doesn't he it's just like in the original. He's like totally distracted. So Amy gets mad and leaves. And then later on, Charlie hears a scream from Jerry's house. So he calls the cops,
Yeah.
and the cops show up, and they're like all laughing outside and everything. So they don't nothing is taken seriously. And then later Jerry leaves in his truck, and Charlie decides to go over and finds a secret door in Jerry's closet, which leads like to this hallway with a bunch of like locked rooms, and he finds Doris in one of them, and uh
Yeah, she's looking for help. He didn't know what the hell was that room that he
yeah.
found was so bizarre, and he's looking around, and yeah, there was one girl that was in there, and he's trying to get her out. He's using like the lock pick and everything, and as he's doing that, that's when Jerry's like he hears Jerry coming, like he's back, so he runs into one of the other rooms that's pretty much empty, or like the key because he's got keys on like all of them except for the one that the girl's in. Um, which I was like, is it a different lock completely? But I guess it is. So he's kind of peeking through that crack in the door, and he sees that Jerry unlocks the door, and he's pulling the girl out. Um, and then you could see like she's got like or like he's about to bite her or something. Um, does he? I think he does.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
she's freaked out. You could see she's all pale already. Like he's been basically like feeding on her. Um, and that's why yeah, like they were he bites her.
yeah.
Like he's filling up. He's keeping her alive because that's his whole thing. He's kind of tormenting them, and then he wants like his like when he wants a snack. Oh,
Hmm.
there's a juice box. It's a blonde in the closet.
Yep.
And yeah, and Jerry's freaking out because now he knows this is all real. Because at that point where they were he was looking for the beers and he wouldn't come inside the house, like he knows something was up. Like you could see that they both kind of know, but no one's saying anything. But he gets his confirmation when he sees him biting the girl, and like he starts sucking her blood, and then he throws her back into the room, and basically Charlie's like shaking,
Yep.
and yeah, he's about to leave that hidden closet, and he turns around. It's as if he could almost like hear his heartbeat or something, and he kind of like puts on like this kind of arrogant face, and he closes the door behind him. Like again, he just fed, so his senses are probably even more heightened, right?
Hmm.
Um, so I like he knows that someone's in there, and it's most likely Charlie, but he's just going about the rest of his day like it doesn't matter, which I thought was interesting too. Because again, they showed how over the top arrogant he is,
Yep.
and that overpowered. Like if this kid even wanted to try something, like he's screwed. He ain't gonna be able to do shit.
Yep.
But,
And
so
yeah, so yeah, it was crazy. The him making it so he ends up getting Doris out of that room, and well, Charlie does, and they end up actually like making it out of the house, but Jerry actually
he's
see
he's sitting around in he's
yeah,
watching television.
yep,
He's got some blood on him still, and he's licking his fingers clean.
yep,
And because Charlie he ran back to the door to unlock it,
yep,
and he's got tears in his eyes, and that girl is barely even she can't even sit up. He's like got his arm around her. He's trying to get her out, and uh, Jerry's basically watching like one of those stupid mom shows,
yeah,
the how Real Housewives, and
yeah,
like you can see like it's like stupid entertainment, and he's just like smiling like at how ridiculous they are.
yep,
But yeah, they're kind of sneaking out of there. They're going down the stairs and all that, and I don't know if Jerry hears them and he's still kind of just like bullshitting. He's kind of toying with them, and he goes to grab an apple, and then as he goes away to do that, um, you could see he's leaning on the wall in the shadows, and he's watching them get out of the house. And
yep,
as they get out of the house, the girl explodes into flames and blood.
yeah,
Like the sun just disintegrates her basically.
yep,
And Jerry's smiling and laughing from inside the house as he's eating his apple. And you can see Charlie is completely shell shocked. He's in his
yeah,
room, his eyes, like that kid, what a great actor he was. Like you could see like a complete, he's not there. He's there, but he's not there. And you see him in his room, and he's still freaked out the whole time. And his mom walks in, which she's a good actress too. What the hell's her name again? Is it Tony
Tony
Collette?
Collette,
Yeah, yeah.
yep,
Like she's a good actress. sometimes she looks good, sometimes she looks freaky and weird. But she did a good job in this playing his mom. And he's basically saying, stay away from Jerry. Whatever happens, stay away from this guy. Something's seriously wrong with him. He can't really convince his mother, and he's late for school. Like, he didn't sleep at all. He was up the whole night, and he's got to go directly to school. And basically, like he goes and he's looking on the school library on the computer. He's looking up Peter Vincent because, again, that's what him and his friend used to watch. And
Yeah.
what do you call it? Ed had like all this information on him, and like that Ed was going to go contact him basically.
Yeah.
So that's what Charlie is doing now. He's doing the research when the girlfriend sees him over in the library, and she's like, "What are you doing?" Like,
Yeah.
and he didn't know how to talk to her about this, and he's like, "Yeah, my neighbor's something's wrong with them, and I'm doing research here." And he's trying to bullshit, and she's like, "Yeah, you're becoming obsessed. You're going back into this weirdness. Fine. You don't want me right now?" Huh? And like she's, you could see the animosity she's having towards him, that he's definitely lying to her, trying to keep her away from this stuff. But
Yeah.
he goes to Peter Vincent. He's at the Hard Rock Hotel. He's got, I guess, a little stint there, and he's trying to figure out how he could go and see him. And he's going through the hotel, and he sees like some of the staff, and he steals one of their passes, and he's basically going to pretend like he's press so
Yeah.
that he can have like an interview with them or something. And again, it's almost like a Vegas show that they have set up, like
Yeah.
the stage, and reenacting vampire stuff, and like that he's coming to save the day. Like he kind of appears out of nowhere. And basically, like, the floor opens up, and they got like a little fire effect. Like you
Yeah.
can see they're practicing the show they're gonna put on for the night.
Yeah.
And that's when like he gets interrupted and he gets pissed off. And, like,
Yeah. And he acts like an absolute asshole.
yeah. Because he wants to do something with flames out of his hand, and it was just like a little sparkle, and he got all upset, and he's like, "You guys screwed up! What the hell? Where's the pyro?" And like, like it was great.
Yeah. And so basically he tells Charlie to like buzz off. He's like at that, like, you can see that he's just a, well, at that point in the movie you can see that Peter Vincent is just a complete fraud and a jerk, um and so he's like, no, I'm not helping you, like, this is
Well,
a
no,
show.
he thinks basically that he's there for an interview,
Yeah.
and that's what he's kind of coming off as. Which again, at that point, like that's Peter Parker right there. Like
Yeah.
I could definitely see that he's just missing his camera. Like he would have done such a great job. But again,
Yeah.
more of a young adult type of Peter, not a teenage, whatever. But
Yeah.
he kind of like, he conned his way into getting up to his apartment there, which when he gets up, like the elevators open straight into this place, and it looks like a museum. He's
Yeah.
got glass um, display cases filled with all sorts of stuff, super old, ancient looking weapons, things to like kill monsters and vampires and werewolves. Like he's got like occult stuff that's kind of around, which I thought was good. Like the aesthetic that they made it more bigger, more extravagant, and that he could maybe, if anything, he's definitely a collector of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like they coming off on that angle. And that's sort of what they did with the character. They made it look like he's just, that's it. Like it's part of his shtick. It's part of his whole thing. One of the girls who works on the stage is basically his girlfriend, and he's a dick to her as well. And again, he's just, now he's home. He's taken off all of his stuff. He's basically like, the mask is basically came off completely.
Yeah.
Because like he's not walking around like that downstairs in front of everybody. Like, he's in his place. He's doing this interview. And it's like, yeah, this is just, it's a show. The whole thing's a show. And he's just like an alcoholic basically too. He's just
Yeah.
getting shit faced. And Charlie's kind of seeing like, is this guy a fraud? I mean, but he's got all this stuff. Like, he's got to be real.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, Charlie kind of lets too much information out, and he's like, "Oh, you're just like, you better get out of here. Like, this isn't a real interview." Like, you can see like he got pissed, and Charlie was like, "I'm alone. I got to do this on my own. Like,
Hmm.
this guy is a fake. He's a fraud." And he goes back home, and that's when he starts putting up the crosses and the garlic everywhere. But what I like too, they had like these great shots where you could see like the neighbors. You could see Jerry's house, and like he's got like magazines or news articles, like things blocking the windows, so like no light gets in. And as we're doing that, like Charlie, he had a couple of bullies or Ed's bullies that were now starting to bother him. They're outside looking at him like, what is this freak doing? Like, why is he have like? Because they wanted to go bother him and all that. And as they're looking, because now it's like nighttime or just the sun just went down. Jerry knocks on their window and you're like, who the hell are you? And they pan over from one kid, which I think was James Franco's son, or his brother. Is that his name, James Franco? His brother. I don't know. He's in a couple of stupid movies. He's got a weird face. They pan from him to the other guy who's in the car, and you see like apparently Jerry transformed partly, and he's like slashed at his face and like bit him, and the other kid got blood all over his face, and so he takes out the two bullies, and he's like, and he's looking up at the window like, I'm gonna fuck with this kid even more now. I'm gonna really destroy his life completely, and like the door opens up and you assume that it's him, but it's not. It's the girlfriend, and he's jumping. He's jumping at shadows. He's getting freaked out at everything. What else happened from there? I'm trying to remember.
Yep.
Oh yeah. He's saying that he's a murderer. He's trying to convince his mom that this guy is a murderer. He's a freak.
Yep.
And he's gonna do something.
And
He's
yeah.
and he's walking around the house, and they see him walk past the window and everything, and he's got a shovel in his hand. The automatic lights go on in the backyard. And they're like, "What the hell's going on?" And it's like, "This guy's a vampire. He's freaked." They're like, he's still trying to convince them, and he's just digging up the backyard. Like, what is he doing? He basically grabs the gas pipe, and he yanks the whole thing, and it disconnects. It disconnects the stove, and he's taking a power tool, and he's like cutting a hole into the pipe, and he lights. Yeah, he lights it, and you see all the flame come in from outside from that pipe through everything that uses gas in the house, the fireplace, the stove, and it just blows. Everything's like on fire in there. Blows out the windows, and he walks up to it, and he's like smiling and like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill you," basically. And they hop into the car to get the hell out of there. Like, this guy's dangerous.
Yeah, and I really like that the part that led to all that, because he had actually tried to get invited in the house again before he blew it up. He's like, I need to speak with you. Like he's outside the door and he's trying to speak to Charlie's mom, and he's like, Charlie has broken into my house, and he's done this and that, and I don't want to have to get the authorities. And I'm thinking to myself, oh no, please stay smart, like about the mom. And the mom actually stays smart, and Charlie's like, he's like, don't listen to him, please, you got to believe me. And she actually listens, and she's like, why don't you go ahead and get the authorities? So basically, that's Jerry knows what that they all know now, and so that's when he's like, all right, F it, and he blows the house up, and then after he does that, he's like, I don't need an invitation if there's no house.
Yeah, which was great. And so when they're trying to get out of there, they hop into the car, and they go to leave. They ran over part of Charlie's motorcycle.
Yeah.
And he was gonna follow them, and he goes to sit on the motorcycle, and he sees like the whole front spokes, the whole thing is twisted and broken. He looks up pissed, and then you see from inside the car, the girlfriend's in the back seat, mother and son are in the front, and all of a sudden the window comes crashing in. He throws the motorcycle at them and into the back of the car, and the tire was still spinning at the girl's face. She didn't get hurt by it, but they kick it out. It falls into the street, and he follows with his pickup truck and smashes into them from behind. He cuts in front of them, and then the mother, she's like, "What do we do?" And he's like, "Run him over!" And then they hit the gas and they slam into him, and they go past his car. Like they actually hit him. They hit the car, and the whole back of it gets moved, and you see like a streak of blood. And they're like in shock. They're looking around. The girlfriend's looking outside the hole from the back window, which kind of reminded a little bit of Terminator 2, which I thought was kind of cool. And they don't see him anywhere. And then they hear something, and he's actually underneath the car as they're driving, and he starts to slice into it. Like he's like busting a hole through the bottom of the bed of the car. Like you see like this kind of gross hand coming out with long nails, and they're
Yep.
they're freaking out. They got one headlight. uh,
And
what
do you,
do you-
and then, so yeah, as they're driving and he's on the underside of the car, a driver crashes into them. And did you notice the driver?
yes, I did. It's
Yes.
it's Chris Sarandon, the
Yes.
original uh Jerry, which was
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
I
because
love that.
they had slammed on the brakes because they thought he'd get out, but yeah, the driver hit them from behind
Yeah.
because again their lights are out, and and it's him, and Chris Sarandon gets out and he's holding his head. He's like, "What the hell? What's going on here? Well, why'd you just stop in the middle of the road? We're on the highway. What are you, all stupid?" And then the car lifts up, and Jerry's underneath it, and he's freaking out. And the original Jerry's kind of walking backwards, and you can see like he's got this full demonic face on, and he's like, "I think I'm gonna get back in my car." He gets into it as Colin Farrell's Jerry goes up to, and he's shitting his pants. He rips him out of the car, and he just violently bites into his neck. Like the
Yeah.
way that they did it looked great.
And I love that. I love how you have Dandridge from the new movie bite Dandridge from the original movie. Like that's just awesome how they did that.
Yeah, and then he just like threw the body on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
I love
Again,
that.
they did a lot of good stuff in there, and it's like every time he feeds, like it's like he's even more regenerated, or he kind of goes back to human form at that point. Jerry's holding a cross.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm not
Charlie.
Charlie. Charlie's
Yeah.
holding the cross, and he's like, "Yeah, you guys aren't gonna do anything. It's like
Yeah.
I'm gonna take yous out."
Yeah, and he says that thing. He's like, "Well, that's not going to work if you don't have faith."
Yeah,
And then we see Charlie's mom. She takes one of her realtor signs from the back of the car and stakes Jerry with it. And it's weird how he reacts to it. Like it doesn't
well, but he grabs the cross first
yeah.
out of Charlie's hands, and he put the whole thing on fire and crumbled it in his hand. Then he threw Jerry like across the way from Chris Sarandon's from his car over to their car. Yeah, and then the mother grabs the realty sign. And when she
Yep.
stabs, like he gets all like the way they did it was great. Like he all freaked out and was like spazzing. Like
Yeah.
he made a huge jump away from them, but he's got the sign and he's like he can't even stand up. Like he's all convulsing and twitching and he can't get to it. He's all over the road, all twisted. I thought that was really cool. That's the one thing I
Yeah.
really liked what they did with it, because they made it even more screwed up looking. The mother passed out instantly when she saw that.
Yep.
And they dragged her back into the car that hit them, and like the bumpers sparked all over the floor, and like they're trying to get out of there. They hit Jerry as well. Like his arm broke, but as they're driving away, you could see that it's all regenerating, like it's snapping all back into place.
Yep.
Which was really cool too. So it's like he's not dead, but he was definitely injured. Um, and I don't know, I forgot why, but like they went back to Peter Vincent, and like
Yeah,
he's contemplating now, like he wants to do more. Like he's still drinking like a fish, but you could see like something that Charlie said to him is kind of sinking in because he left papers and stuff there, and he
yeah,
goes to his vault, he goes to his safe, and there's a photo that he sees in there, and he goes into one of his things, and he sees this super old like family crest, I think it is something along those lines,
hmm,
and it matched up to a drawing that he had in his vault. So like he knows that whatever Charlie was saying, it's real, and it's the same vampire. Oh wait, yeah, he's when he was a kid or something, right? He that
yeah,
there was that vampire attacked his family.
yeah. His family was killed by him.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and he survived. That's why he went into this stuff, and that's why he became so famous on this crap. He basically wanted to make wherever he was living like a fortress,
Hmm.
and that's why like his hotel, like everything's like in super tight lockdown and all that shit. Um, which is pretty cool. But yeah, yeah, they brought the mother to the hospital because she passed out. I don't know. Did she get injured? I can't remember.
Uh, I can't remember if she got injured. But they did need to bring, yeah, they brought her to the hospital, and that's when Charlie got a call from Vincent, and Vincent was like, I think I can help you. And then they end up going to see Vincent, and and you know that,
Oh
and
no,
then
Vincent gets he gets a visit from Ed. That's when we found out Ed's actually alive.
that is while they're visiting. So when
Or
Amy
they're
and
on their way,
Charlie,
right?
no,
I
Amy
think
and Charlie are there at Vincent's house, and then
no, they were at the
yeah,
hospital.
no, Vincent,
Oh wait, yeah, yeah, you're right, you're right. They get
yeah.
there, and then Ed comes like UPS.
Yeah, the he says, yeah. So that woman that he lives with, like his girlfriend, she
Mhm.
says you get a delivery, and he says send him up, and that's an invitation. And Ed's a vampire now,
Right.
and Ed was the UPS guy, so that's how Ed gets in and reveals that he's a vampire now, and yeah, like that's a departure from the original. Whereas the original he was like a werewolf, but in this movie he's definitely another vampire.
I think it was just it was the powers. I mean, because they could be either bat, wolf, whatever. I think that's what they were establishing in the original one.
Hmm.
Because I don't
Yeah,
think he
yeah.
just he just bit him and he turned straight into a werewolf. I think he used that power when he was
Oh,
trying
yeah,
to.
that's true. That could be it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was also like the Red Riding Hood type thing. Like, because remember, like when they pulled the sheets and it wasn't the mother or the grandmother, it was a wolf that's
Yeah.
basically hiding in the bed. Like, I think that's the aspect they went. But it's funny too because like they realized he goes, "What UPS driver at this time of night would be here? Like, this doesn't make sense." But by the time they realize that he's already in, he already bit the girlfriend who answered the elevator door, and he's acting like yeah, you left me to die. Great friend you are. Like I'm gonna slaughter you all because we're all gonna get you. Like Jerry has. It's not just me. We have a family. Or like, he was trying to like make it look like it's there's a lot more going on. You
Hmm.
know, which I,
Yeah.
which I thought was pretty good. And yeah, so it's the three of them basically versus Ed at this point. And
And it's funny because it yeah, so yeah, yeah, Ed comes up and Vincent but yeah, he reveals he's a vampire and all that stuff and just
yeah,
threaten him
and
and stuff.
yeah, I'm gonna kill you. You see, what do you call it? Peter Vincent breaks a glass. He grabs one of his old ancient knives. He starts to scream like, "I'm gonna kill you!" And then he kind of turns tail and he runs into a safe room.
Yeah, it's
And
actually a
Ed,
splinter from the cross.
oh yeah, yeah, that's what it was. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's a
Ed
tiny
tries
splinter.
Ed tries to get to him, and as he's trying to get to him, he reaches his arm out, and he already slammed the door for the or he hits the button for the safe room, and Ed's arm is in there and gets chopped off, and the arm
Yeah.
falls into the room with Vincent, and so we have one armed Ed who's now walking around the apartment um, trying to look for both Charlie and Amy. And as
Yeah.
they're doing that, Colin Farrell shows up at the hotel, and he just walks past the security guard, and the security goes, "Oh, where do you think you're going? Come over, you got to sign in at least and whatever." And he turns around and just goes to bite him. And what was cool too is like that's when you kind of see on the monitor. He's not showing up on the monitor. You just see like the guard who's just getting his throat ripped out and blood all over the floor, which I thought was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's down there, and yeah, and Ed's basically it's like a museum again in there with all the cases. It's dark, and he's being all arrogant and douchey, and the two of them are like they're trying to grab these old. They're breaking glass, trying to grab weapons to attack them with these holy relics that they think are holy relics and whatnot. Um, yeah. So what do you call it? Ed is basically like he's dodging, he's jumping all over the place, he's using his new vampiric gifts, and again trying to mess with Charlie even more. And Charlie he can't get a shot on him. And after all the dodging, he finally is able to get he's got like this battle axe that he has in his hand, and he gets part of it into his neck. Like
Hmm.
he gets his friend Ed in the neck,
Yeah, he
and
chops his head like half off.
yeah, kind of. And Amy, she got to another case, and she grabbed one of these guns, and she's loading with silver bullets. And as
Yeah.
she's doing it, Colin Farrell shows up, and he's basically kind of like, "Yeah, you're going to be mine." And she starts to shoot, and
Yeah.
you could see the bullets going into him, and they're smoking because it's silver, and they don't like silver. He's basically just pulling them out of his body, and he's like
Yeah, and he's like,
werewolves.
silver is for werewolves. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it hurt him, but it's not going to kill him. So he just kind of like throws it. And she breaks another thing, and there's a chalice that has water in it. And she goes, "What about holy water?" And she throws it in his face, and like, his face is all burning. He's like Jack Nicholson in Batman. My face!
Yep.
And she runs away. Um, and then from the panic room, he could see some of what's going on. He sees like the body of his girlfriend. He sees there's some horrible shit happening, and Ed has his head half lobbed off, and he's kind of leaning to the side, and he just pulls it back in place, and it sort of like it partially reconnects,
Yeah.
and he's kind of just um biting to like he didn't bite him. He's kind of like he's trying to reach over. He's still missing an arm, so he's trying to get closer to his neck when Amy grabs like one of the what is it, the mace with the chain on it, and she kind of she swings it and hits him off of Charlie. Um, and
Yep.
Ed's all screwed up, man. He's all screwed up, but she's trying to tell him too, like trying to tell Charlie that Jerry's here too. We got to get out of here. We need to leave now. And he sees his friend in agony, and he's like, I gotta do I gotta do it. I gotta do it. And he has part of the battle axe was snapped off during their little kind of scrim or fight that they were having, and he takes the end of it and he puts it right into Ed, and he basically kind of like turns into ash in his arms.
Hmm.
And like you could see him like he's kind of crying and breaking down, and she's like, "We need to leave. We need to get out of here." So yeah, they're kind of making their way out. And Jerry, he gets back up, and you see like his face is kind of healing back at this point. Um, but he's really angry, as one would be. And they get downstairs, and they kind of have something similar to the nightclub thing. Like they kind of like
Hmm.
they're going through the kitchen. They get like again, it's attached to the Hard Rock casino thing. So they're like in this area that's kind of like a club inside there, and they're trying to get their way out. And again, similar like the other movie, like he's making his way through the crowd, um, and they get separated in the crowd, and Jerry grabs her, and he's trying to catch up, but they're like through a sea of people essentially. And then one of the bouncers grabs grabs Charlie, and he's too late. Colin Farrell bites into her neck already at this point, and they did it great too, because like you can see like the tears coming out of her eyes. Like she's completely like, again, he used his power over her, and she's like completely submissive to him. And yeah, like he's being pulled away from the bouncers, screaming for, and she's got tears coming out of her eyes as she's being bitten. And they kind of like they go to black, and then they go back to um, the apartment or of David Tennant there, Peter Vincent, and he's like packing up all of his shit. Like he's got like a little suitcase. He's in regular street clothes. All the lights are out, and what do you call it? Charlie gets back up there, and he's like, he grabbed Amy. He has my girlfriend. I need to save her. You're the only person who can help me. And he's trying to convince him, and he's like, mate, this is supernatural stuff. These guys, they're gonna kill us. Like, dude, and he's just drinking again, because he's just become a raging alcoholic at this point, because anyone in his life got killed by him, anyone he cared about, and he kind of like, does he join him at that point?
Not at that point. He ends up showing up in a little while, though. Charlie and Amy, Charlie goes to Jerry's house, and then we see Vincent show up, and
Oh no, he
he's like,
prepared. That was it. After
yeah,
after he leaves Vincent's place, he goes, fine, I'm on my own. And he goes
yeah,
like hardware stores and stuff, and he's buying a bunch of stuff, crossbow. He made steaks. He's got a whole
yeah,
like jumpsuit thing. Like he's gearing up for it. And as he gets there, this is the first time you see his house since what happened at night. And he walks past his house, and you see it's completely like it's smoldering. The whole
yeah.
thing was all ruined. And
And
he
I
kicks
like
the
when
door.
I
Oh, good.
like when he's getting all that hardware stuff, and he goes up to the counter and he goes, "I'm gonna kill a vampire," and the guy's like, "Okay, good for you."
Yeah, that was funny. And he's like, so he kicks the door open in Jerry's house, and he's breaking all the glass. He's letting all the sunlight come in, and
Yeah,
he's kind of like, he's moving slowly. He gets into that back room that had the other girl in it, and Amy's in one of those rooms. And before he gets the door open, she screams, and like she gets pulled under the ground, or on to the floor below. And so he's trying to make his way downstairs. He goes back down the other way he came from, and he runs into Peter Vincent's character. He's like, "What the hell are you doing in here?" And he pulls
yeah,
open his coat, and he's got bullets and stakes and stuff all strapped to him. And he's like, "Let's kill this damn vampire."
yeah,
So he teamed up with him essentially. So he brings him back to that room, to that hidden room, and they kind of cut open like the bigger hole in the floor where Amy got pulled into, and they drop down below, and it's like this whole kind of, like an emptied out. I don't even say a basement. It's huge. It's massive.
yeah,
Um, it almost looks like maybe a parking, like an empty parking garage almost. It's like that big, like like in an apartment complex or something.
yeah,
And there's like piles of dirt there, and it's all dark down there. Um, and yeah, so they're kind of looking around. There is like a room that's sort of set up. Um, Again, like an abandoned construction site. I guess it would be closer to that. Which I thought was
yeah,
interesting that it's underneath the house like that.
yeah. It's definitely it's a lot bigger of like a basement than what you would expect under that house.
Right. Like he
Y-
was there for a while, um, kind of cleaning it out and doing his own thing, and
Yeah,
because he sort of, it almost looked like a half built construction type thing, but there's like, it looks like another kind of cage with padlocks, um, almost like an abandoned thing that like they built on top of it almost.
hmm,
I think there's like even washing machines or something in there. Um, but he kind of makes his way towards towards a room down there. Um, that apparently that's where Amy got pulled into. Um, and the two of them like Peter David goes, "You know this is a trap, right?" And he was like, "Yeah, but like we got no choice," type of thing. Like I want to save Amy. I want to get her out of here. And like yeah, there's like the door. They go to open it up, and um, she is in there. And like she goes to hug him, and Colin Farrell does, but he pops up behind them, I think. Yeah, and he's above them. Yeah, he's hiding above them, and he grabs Peter Vincent and throws him into the other room. Um, and
He throws a rock at Vincent's head, which makes him bleed a little bit. And Vincent's like, "A rock, really?" But the
well,
blood.
I was gonna say before that, what do you call it? Charlie gets a shot off with the crossbow, and he dodges him. He grabs it and he cracks it in his hand, and he's like, "Well, someone needs to feed," and he closes the door behind them. And basically, Charlie is in the room with Amy now, who he doesn't know at this point, but she's already, she's a vampire, and she's like, she's gonna go to hug him, like put up this fake kind of thing, and then attempt to bite him. But yeah, you're right. Jerry grabs a rock and he throws it at Peter Vincent to make him bleed. But Peter Vincent is basically shooting him with the shotgun. He's like just nicking him, hitting him a little bit, and he falls backwards into the dirt, like kind of like near where they landed, into that bigger room. Um, and again, because now he's bleeding, um, uh, Jerry basically shows his other cards that those people that were missing, not all of them were dead.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they're part of his. I was gonna say cult. His family now. And yeah, you see like the blood hits the floor from like off of his head, and Jerry just points. He's like, "A rock, a pebble, he goes, what?" And he points, and you see some of like the dirt that's kind of on the sides of the walls. Hands start coming out of it, and out of the darkness, like you see like a whole bunch of creatures of the night, I guess you would say. These other people, including the two bullies, like the one that he killed in the car. Like they come jumping out, and they're all feral, like I guess he used like some contortionists and stuff too to get like the really creepy, eerie movements, which was great.
Yeah.
And yeah, in the meantime, yeah, you see Amy, who's about to bite uh, Charlie, and like she's got her arms around him, her fangs come out, and he's like almost frozen. Like he didn't know what to do at this point. Like, oh no, she's a vampire. Like, and you see Peter David. He's got like this gun that has a whole bunch of stakes, almost like a Gatling gun type thing. Like a Gatling gun mixed with like a shotgun. And
Yeah.
he stakes a couple of them, and then the thing it stops working. Like he's like all in badass mode. And yeah, and Amy knocks down Charlie, and she's on top of him, kind of like trying to be seductive, and that she's gonna basically eat him. And
Yep.
he's reaching out to grab like the steak, and he just has it in his hand. Like he doesn't stab her, but as she leans in to bite him, her face gets all transformed, all mutated, like gross. And her own body weight kind of comes down on it, so she's partly staked in the side. And he gets
Yeah.
up, he crowbars the door open, and she turns around, and she's tasting her own blood. Like she did a great job, and she's like, "You missed. Like you didn't get my heart." And you see him like he runs back to get into the room with Peter Vincent, and you see like all of those freaky looking ones are on top of him, and like it looks like they're all taking a bite out of him. And Charlie, instead of shooting at them, he starts to shoot upward at the floorboards and stuff, and light's starting to come in, and the ones that are on top of Peter Vincent, they start to get burned off, and you see like he's got blood all over him. He's missing a pant leg, half a pant leg. Like they were feeding on him while
Yeah.
while Charlie was in there, and Jerry's just like he's just sitting back, like Charlie, just you think you could stop us? You're not going to be able to stop." Like he's again being arrogant, being cocky. Like I like how he kind of did it. It was almost like that, I'm too cool type of guy, like that type of arrogance. Like it's pretty good. And he's just kind of like, as he's talking to him, he's walking past him and walking past these breaks of light that are now inside this empty cavernous room. Um, and he's all up in his grill, uh, and he's sort of like, again, he's playing with them. Like he puts his fingernail into one of the beams of sunlight, and he's just kind of wiggling his finger around, and you see like his nail catches on fire,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, you're not going to be able to kill me. He goes, I got your girlfriend. She's my bride now. I'm like, and as he's saying it, like you see her coming down the stairs from that other room, and you see like almost like the tears and the fear in his face, and the light is actually touching Peter Vincent at this point, and he's lifting his hand. He's like, my hand's smoking, like, because he's gonna be transforming very very soon. Like he knows he doesn't have much time left, and he's again he grabs his flask and he starts to drink as like the two of them are making out now in front of them. Like Amy is making out with Jerry, and he's like, "Yeah, she's my bride. She's so much fun." Like he's, you know, like he cuts open his chest for her to feed more off of him, like all like the lust of it all, and to again mess with Charlie even more. Like he's a real son of a bitch. And the two of them are just like kind of talking at one another, but they have their plan, and Charlie pulls up like a ski mask thing, and what do you call it? Peter Vincent, he's got um his little stogie that he's lighting, and yeah, they have a bigger plan of what they're about to do, and they're gonna torch his ass. um and this was really crazy too, because it's something like I wasn't expecting in the movie, but Peter David sets Charlie on fire, and Charlie's got like uh what do you call it, like one of those kind of hook pieces like for like the mountain climbers, and he hooks it on to Jerry, um and he's basically like, again, he set himself on fire, and he goes to jump on top of him, and he's hugging him, and Jerry's trying to get this kid off of him who's completely covered in flames. He's put the mask on, so the suit he has on is like a flame retardant suit, and he coated
Yeah.
himself with something, which I thought was pretty cool. Like it's like they had a bigger plan. It wasn't just walk in there
Yeah.
and stake him,
Yeah.
which I thought was pretty cool. But he does have a stake in his hands, and he's trying to get to him. And Peter Vincent is like, he's helping him. He's still too weak to stand up on his own, but he grabs a shotgun and he starts blasting holes in the ceiling as they're fighting and struggling. Um, then he grabs the stake that Charlie dropped, and he throws it over to him. So as like he's burning up, part of his body kind of rips open from the sunlight, and his heart's exposed, and Charlie stabs him right in the heart. And as he does, all the other vampires there, they start to convulse too. Amy falls down, and it looks like a black spirit flies out of her. There's one that flies out of Peter Vincent. Um, they're all kind of flying out of the people who were bit, and they're kind of flying around the room, and they kind of all go into Jerry, and Dandruff, like he's completely, like he's starting to be engulfed in flames and everything, and they all the like those spirits flew out and into him and exploded, so he completely burst. Yeah, but it was pretty cool how they did that. And
Good night, Blue Samurai. Thank you for being here tonight.
yeah, have a great night, Blue. And yeah, and they're trying to wake up Charlie at this point, because like again, Jerry blows up he's on top of him when he exploded. They take the mask off, and Peter Vincent, he's slapping him in the face, and he opens up his eyes, and the kid's all right. They did it. They stopped the bad vampire.
Yeah.
Which was great, and she's got like tears in her eyes too, and like because she had no control over herself. It was all that. So like the end scene, they're finally gonna bang, and they're in Peter Vincent's place, and like they didn't leave the mom out. Like they showed her that like he has a phone call with his mother before the two of them are getting it on, and, she's by the house, I guess, getting the rest of their stuff or their. He basically said that everything's cool. Like, we stopped them, and Peter Vincent kind of like he walks in on the two of them, um, and he's like, "Yeah, have your fun. Do what you got to do. You do your shagging and all that." Like he's got his confidence back, and like he's basically left his apartment to them, to have their fun,
Yeah.
which was interesting.
Yeah, that was a good ending.
Yeah, again, they did a good job with the movie. Like it was fun. Um, Again, both movies were awesome. I think everyone who was in the remake, they did a great job.
Yeah.
But much like the original, I didn't like either Ed's McLovin, but
Yeah.
the one in the '80s was way creepier.
Yeah, he was definitely.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought yeah, I feel like I was fine with how they did Ed in the remake because like how they killed him off instead of
Yeah.
like in the original he's alive.
Hmm.
I was fine with them killing him off like cuz I don't know. His character really didn't add anything.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
agree. No, yeah, no,
yeah.
it was better just taking him out. I mean,
Yeah.
like the kid was suffering too, like how they showed him, like how he had the axe in the head, he's missing an arm, you know,
Yeah.
he was broken, but like they showed more of the bond between the two. They didn't do that in the original movie.
That
The
is
original,
true.
yeah, the original movie, you don't know how close that they are, but in this one, they're more like brothers. Um,
Yeah.
the type of connection that they had. Which again, awesome stuff, and I'm glad he was able to kind of retell his story as well, to put a little bit more into it. But I like that
Yeah.
he wasn't technically done with it either, and that's why he made his novel. So that's cool.
Yep.
I dig that.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out because
Hmm.
yeah, I'm very interested in it.
Yeah, me
But
too.
yeah, these I really loved these movies, and I definitely recommend them if anybody hasn't seen them. Yeah, totally check them out. They're free to watch on Tubi right now, both of them.
Yep,
Um,
they're a
yeah,
blast.
yeah, this is really fun. Just Fright Night, the original, has been like I've loved that movie for a while.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
this was fun to do.
yeah, I was happy watching it too. Um,
Yeah,
Good stuff, especially when you saw Jerry in the original one, when he finally came on screen. It's like, oh yeah, this guy, he's doing an awesome job.
yeah, yeah.
You
He
know.
really did.
Well, yeah, excellent stuff.
But yeah, awesome. Um, Fun movies. This is a fun review. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Oh, absolutely. I think we
And
did a good job. You did most of the original one. I did most of the sequel.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, no, yeah, I think it was a good one. We had fun tonight.
yeah, yeah. It was fun. I'm glad I did the original because I like that. If I have to pick one, I would probably go with the original.
Hmm.
But I do have an appreciation for the remake. I was not crazy about it before when I watched it, but the
Yeah.
second time around, I was like, okay, I dig this.
Hmm. Yeah, it took you a minute for the other movie too. Um,
Yeah, uh,
uh,
uh, the
I'm gonna bring it up.
crazies.
Yeah, the crazies.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I again, like what they did with that. Again, people watch that one. If you missed it, go back, take a look. We had an awesome time with that as well. But
yeah,
yeah, there's cool stuff. There's good writing. There's stuff that was still there. That I don't know. I wish these writers and stuff would actually make good content again.
I
Um,
know.
it feels like right around that time, 2015ish, is like when they stopped making good movies. Like we had some
Yeah,
okay superhero movies, some stuff like that, and then they just shit the bed completely with that. You know?
I know. I know. Some new stuff would be refreshing.
Yeah.
But I want to thank everybody who was in the chat tonight. Thank you so much for being here and being part of the conversation. And anybody lurking, thank you as well. And anybody checking this out on the replay, thank you guys as well. Yeah, this was awesome, and I'm grateful to all of you guys who come and watch my stuff. I really appreciate it. Vinny, I'll let you. Why don't you go ahead and tell people what you got going on?
This week, there's not going to be any streams for me this week. I should still be popping. Maybe, I don't know. I'm if you do see me, I might be popping over on either ETEP stream or Draven's, but that might be a long shot. I'm in the middle of stuff, and I might not be able to get to anything this week. But you can still get my books for sure. Shot of the Kraken, Through the Woods, City Venus, all that stuff still ships. I am working on the sequel. I'm going to be diving more into it, maybe the middle of July. Yeah, I'm going to start hammering out pages. I can't wait for you guys to see what I'm working on and what I'm doing with that project, because I want to start to go bigger with a lot of my stuff. At some point, I like to get into more, maybe more master classes again too. I don't know. We're gonna see, because I'm gonna be making some changes. We're gonna see some more stuff happening. But yeah, right now I'm kind of in the middle of a whole bunch of stuff. But once that stuff is kind of out of the way, expect a lot more happening. But yeah, this was awesome. Trina, you're fantastic. Everyone in the chat, you guys and girls rock. I hope you had fun as well. Yeah. Make sure to like, subscribe, and all that great stuff.
Yes, please. Thank you. All right. Well, everybody, hope you have a great night, and we'll see you next week, or somebody's channel. We'll probably see you there, or somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody, have a good night.